Story 1. When I was 9, I met a girl. I am gay, and my first real kiss was when I was 20. I met a guy who was my dream guy, and I accidentally ended up in an intimate situation with him the same day. He was attractive and I was teasing, and he revealed that he was quite endowed. He was a great guy. It is unfortunate that he has passed away. He was attractive too. Story 2. Honestly, I am 33 and with my current girlfriend, and it's serious. So, I guess I can say it was worth the wait, and that I got it right on the first try. Story 3. I was 13. She was about 15. Exchange program. Never saw her or spoke to her again after those 10 days, and I've quite forgotten her name, but I remember what she looked like. Story 4. Sort of when I was 10, but it was only a very quick peck. My real first kiss was when I was 16 in the back of my dad's pickup truck after I took a girl on a first date. Dated her for 2 years. Story 5. It was during my friend's birthday in their 20s. We both went out on a pub crawl and got drunk, found a couple of girls and started talking, went back to their place and both ended up making out with one each. Story 6. I was 14 and he was, 16. It was stupid. I barely knew the dude, but our friends wanted to get us together so badly. Good old teenage cringe. It lasted for the weekend. I never saw him again. Story 7. I had a birthday party at my house. I think it was my 7th birthday. All the kids' parents were told by the invitation when to pick them up. Everyone got picked up except Tracy. My mom said we could play in my room. We sat beside my bed and were playing with something. She told me she lied to her mom and didn't show the invitation, and her mom would be an hour late. Then she kissed me. 7 years later, I had moved to a nearby town but went to school with strangers. At the end of that school year, all my old friends were going to come to the same high school. My dad allowed me to throw a party for my old friends. Everyone left and got picked up around the same time. Then there was Tracy just standing there smirking. We went to my room to play again. Story 8. I was 16, and there was a girl in my drama troupe that I had a huge crush on. Well, one day she confessed she had a crush on me too. In a moment of teenage passion, I leaned in to kiss her and then panicked, awkwardly kissing her on the cheek instead. Don't worry, dear readers. We kissed properly soon afterwards and dated for a glorious summer back in 1994 before parting as friends again. Story 920. With my first and hopefully last situationship during my first year in college dorms. It was fun for a bit, but he led me on and just wanted to be friends with benefits. He was my first for everything, so I held on until it was too much. But hey, I learned how to set proper boundaries in the process. Story 10. At 17, I lied to him that I had kissed someone before. He figured it out. The whole thing escalated into an argument somehow, and he broke up with me. 3 out of 10, at least something unusual happened that day. Story 11. I was 17 doing a play in high school. I had to kiss another actor for one of the scenes, and I was really nervous about it since I had never kissed anyone before. So my friend offered to practice with me. Kissing her was way more fun than the guy I had to kiss on stage. Story 12. Okay, real answer. I was 16 with my first girlfriend, but technically I claim for with an older woman of 6. We were playing Star Wars, and when I grabbed the girl playing Leia to swing across the gap in the Death Star, some of the other kids were like, in the movie, they kissed before they jumped. Oh, he is too scared. So I turned my head and planted one on her. She immediately went and told her mom. Her whole family gave me a hard time for the rest of the time we lived on the same block. Cut to 12 years later, and she was first runner-up Miss Illinois. You bet I told all of my friends she was the first girl I ever kissed, conveniently leaving out the 12 years earlier part. Story 13. I was 21 and had just started a new job. I ended up at a coworker's apartment at 4 a.m. for more drinks after a work party. It was myself, the host, and another female coworker I barely knew. The host's boyfriend came over, and they went to bed, so it was just me and this girl talking on the couch. I was awkward, and she was way out of my league and several years older. I was never going to make any moves. Well, she ended up kissing me first, and it turned into a long makeout session. At some point, she asked if I was okay, as she could feel my heart beating out of my chest. We walked together until we both had to go in different directions. I still cringe thinking about what I said after she asked if I wanted to sleep over at her place. No, it's just a 10-minute walk home. Story 14. 16. With my older brother's best friend on the floor of my bedroom. We had both been drinking vodka with strawberry lemonade beforehand, and to this day, I can't drink strawberry lemonade without getting a flashback. Story 15. At around 7 years old with a boy in kindergarten, we hid behind the building when everyone was on the walk and kissed. I haven't had a kiss since then, so I guess it's as good as I get. Story 16. I was invited by my friend for his grandma's 70th birthday. I greeted grandma. Then I went in to give her a hug and a slight peck on her cheek. I moved to the right, while grandma moved to her left, and we smacked dead on. It was wet. I was 17 back then, laughing my ass off. Story 17. I was 12 with my first and only girlfriend. We spent the whole year-long relationship mostly making out. Now people I hook up with say I'm one of the best kissers. She may have cheated on me once she went to high school, but I thank her for being my practice pillow. Story 18. I was 14 and he was 12. His mother owned a hotel and my mother worked there, so we had hours a day left to our own devices. We used to take keys to the vacant rooms and make out for hours. Story 19. 16. Behind the bleachers at a school dance. It was awkward, short, and I'm pretty sure neither of us knew what we were doing. But hey, it counts. How about you? Story 20. At 16, from a girl who was my best friend, we then tried for a relationship, which didn't really work, and years later, I found out she was no friend to begin with. Story 21. Daycare under the blankets during playtime. It was me, a girl, and another guy. We were taking turns kissing the girl. Her brother was also at the same daycare and was playing while this was happening. We were kids, though, and we were caught and they told our parents. Story 22. At around 7 to 8 years old, I kissed my friend's sister in their bathroom. Their mom walked in on us, looked at us, then almost embarrassingly closed the door quietly and left. Story 23. We were 9, sneaking up to the sand dunes to literally press our mouths together for around 5 seconds, so we thought we were making out. He grew up quickly to bully me about my weight, but always tried to talk behind the scenes. First kiss and first experience understanding men. Story 24. I was 12, I think. I remember having a little boyfriend named Louis, but I can't remember us kissing. I do know I had a different boyfriend later named Chase, and I remember kissing him. He was fine. Story 25. At 11, while at sleepaway camp with this boy I had a huge crush on, I was so excited. Then my best friend said there was no way he kissed me because he liked her and not me. Well, it turned out he liked me all this time. I have searched for him a few times. I'll never forget his name. Story 26. On my 18th birthday, back in 2002, a lady friend I had a crush on pulled me aside as I was heading out the door of the local bowling alley, and she gave me a nice birthday present. After that night, we dated, but only for a month, sadly. Story 27. I participated in a program for introducing new students to high school, and my partner was a girl 1 year older than me. She started flirting a lot. We went to her cousin's place, and she kissed me in their basement while watching The Breakfast Club. Story 28. I only kissed twice. The first time was when I was 16, a mix of feelings. I felt inferior for not having kissed before because my colleagues made me feel that way. The person was nice and beautiful, and it was a 4.5 situation when you are friends with someone and they decide to be with someone else. I didn't feel ready, but I went ahead anyway. The kiss was good, but I felt very shy and asked him not to tell anyone. Yet the open-mouth guy did. My second kiss was also the blessed 4 is even, and it was a great kiss. However, there's a problem with all this. I don't feel like I made the decision. It seems like I'm the second choice for everything, from flirting to these types of situations. For example, wow, I want to be with that girl, but she has a friend, so stay with her so she won't be alone. Or something like that. I know I have a self-esteem problem, but it's hard to think about romantic things or kisses without remembering those situations. Story 29. When I was 27, which was more than a decade later than I would have liked, The silver lining is that it was followed closely by losing my virginity. Again, I would have liked that to happen much earlier. Story 30: House Party. Kissed this girl, which at first I refused because she was drunk, but then we kissed. Twice. It was nice, but looking back, it was extremely awkward. Story 31. 8th grade to a girl I would go on to have an on and off relationship with for a few years, but nothing ever came of it. We're still friends, but don't really talk much anymore. Story 32. I was 14 in a Catholic grade school. 2 girls who were friends both liked me. At recess, we went inside the church entrance, and one girl named Linda and I started kissing. It was very thrilling. Story 33. I was 12 at the time, and the girl was 16. I remember it was my birthday, and this girl I was talking with, I got her chocolates, and she kissed me for a whole minute. I immediately spat out my saliva because I had her saliva in my mouth. That was new. Story 34. 18 years old. Knew her through blogging, invited her to attend our high school play, then made plans to pick her up from her work a couple of days later. We were in my car when she leaned in and kissed me. We dated for almost 2 years afterward before she moved to another country. Sigh. Story 35. I used to exchange mints with my friends via kissing back when I was about 6. My school had a no-sharing food rule, so we thought we were being slick doing it this way. Story 36. First kiss was the pastor's granddaughter. She would drop a crayon under the table, ask me to get it, and peck me on the mouth under the table as I gave her the crayon. We were about 5. First kiss and make out at 11. Story 37. When I was 18 and a half, that felt very late compared to my peers, and it was weighing on my mind at that point. I was resigning myself to it never happening. Then it did. Very unexpectedly. It wasn't planned, and I wasn't looking for it. Story 38. 13 or so during a game of Spin the Bottle at a birthday party, and darned if I can actually remember who it was now. My first girlfriend kiss came a bit later at 14, and I actually remember that one. Story 39. 12 years old in 6th grade. Played Spin the Bottle with friends. I had to go into a closet with a girl, and she started French kissing me. I had no idea that was a thing and kind of freaked out internally. I didn't let her know, but she had to have sensed it, I think. Story 40. I think I was 15 or 16. I told the story here if you're curious. Story 41. Last summer, I was 21. It was so romantic. It was on a rooftop at midnight. Fast forward a month later, we were supposed to have our first date, and he ghosted me. By date, I mean an activity during the day at a carnival rather than in his car at nighttime, which was every hangout we had. I got an answer out of him a week later and then started my healing journey. I went back to therapy for anxious attachment. Then by February, he called me, apologizing and wanting to make amends, so we were meant to go for coffee the following week. Never heard from him again. He was the first guy I had feelings for, so it took a while to realize I deserve better. Plus, I came to the realization that he didn't even tick any of the boxes I'd wanted him to. He was just 6'2" and handsome, ha ha ha. What one man won't do, another man will. Story 42. At a train station, I came to visit my long-distance girlfriend, but really more of a pen pal, and she kissed me as a welcome. It was the second time we met. I will never forget her. Story 43. I was 4. She was 5. I love older women. I have a picture of it as proof. To be honest, I think our parents staged it. We were in a sandbox. She was my next-door neighbor, and we were bonded to each other. She was the best friend I ever had. I wonder what ever happened to her. We moved away when I was 6. Story 44. I was 26. We were only together for a few months. I was kind of a mess, and the relationship didn't survive. It's been nearly 4 years since we broke up, and I haven't found anyone else yet. I'm in a better state than I was back then, so hopefully soon. Story 45. At a cemetery. I was a kid watching Dragon Ball Z, and my sister and her friend came over and kicked me out of the living room. So I went outside, and my brother and I met this other girl our age. We were about 7, and she was so pretty. We had a kiddie date and even got married. But the cemetery was the closest thing to a church. I was so upset at first about missing my show, but that turned things around. Sadly, after we went back home, I never saw her again, and surprisingly looking back, I don't even remember caring beyond that next day. Story 46. At 5 years old, I was friends with my neighbor's daughter. I would go over constantly, and one day we just tried kissing each other. It took us about 5 times because we kept backing out at the last minute. Story 47. At 15, I was on an ambassador trip from the United States to China. One of the guys also on the trip took a liking to me. He had a girlfriend. He walked me to my hotel room one night and asked me for a kiss. Story 48. In the middle of a conversation with my best friend, who I thought was friend-zoning me after I told him I had more than friend feelings. Best surprise ever. Story 49. Around this time last year, actually, I was 24. We started talking and were alone in the car at 2 a.m. since we work really late. Eventually, she asked me if I had kissed anyone before, and I said no. It felt mediocre at first, then we made out and she called me a good kisser, which made me happy. It's a good memory, generally speaking. I just wish it wasn't with that person. Story 50. I got it when I was 16. That night was crazy. I was staying over at a friend's house, and she had just broken up with another one of our friends who happened to be there. We made out for a few hours. When it was time to take her home, though, she wandered the streets instead in below-zero temperatures. Story 51. 15 at a sweaty teen disco with friends crowding around us. Then one dude I barely knew pulled my hair so our teeth clashed because he was jealous and fancied her. Goofy times.